All right, polynomial long division. But before we get started, let's review just regular long division because some of you haven't done it for a long time. So let's say we have 15 that's being divided into 520. So the first thing that you might want to ask yourself is how many times would 15 go into 52? Well, 3 times. And then you're going to subtract. So it's different than synthetic division. Synthetic division is divide, add. This is divide, subtract. So 52 subtract 45 is 7. We're going to bring down that 0. Then you ask yourself, how many times is 15? I need to bring this over a little bit. 15 go into 70? 4 times, with a remainder of 10. And one way to write that is you could write it as 10 over 15, and that would actually reduce to 2/3. So 34 and 2/3. So it's a very similar process. So what you're going to do is this goes underneath the divide sign, the dividend, and the divisor, a subtract 5, this right here, is on the outside. But what you're going to focus on the entire time is you're going to be asking yourself, how many times does a go into something? So a times what is a cubed? You could even do this. A to the first times what equals a cubed? Well, a squared, and you're going to line it up into the a squared place value, right? And then you're going to multiply. So a squared times a is a cubed, just like we did up here. A squared times -5 is -5a squared, and then you're going to subtract. A cubed subtract itself, cancels. Negative 4a squared, subtract a negative, that's like adding a positive. Well, that's just going to leave positive a squared. Then we're going to bring down negative 11a. You're going to ask yourself, how many times does a go into a squared? A to the first times what is equal to a squared? Well, it's just a. So we're going to put plus positive a. A times a is a squared. A times -5 is -5a. And then we're going to subtract that whole set of parentheses. A squared subtract itself, cancels to 0. Negative 11a, subtracting negatives like adding a positive, is, I had all of this kind of pre-done and then I erased it. So, all right, so the negative 11a plus 5a is negative 6a, and then we need to bring down that plus 30. A times what is equal to negative 6a? Well, negative 6. So negative 6 times a is negative 6a, and negative 6 times -5 is positive 30. Oh, look at this whole thing subtract itself. 0 is the remainder. And I want to show you something really, really cool. Let's see, Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and do one more with you. I already have it done. All right, so now we have this polynomial divided by 7p plus 8, and we've already done it, but I'm going to have you just kind of pay attention to what I'm doing. So 7p goes into 7p cubed, p squared times, and then p squared times 7p is 7p cubed, p squared times 8 is 8p squared. You're going to subtract the whole thing. All right, and those cancel. 64p squared subtract 8p squared leaves us with 56p squared, and then we bring down this positive 36p. You ask yourself, how many times does 7p go into 56p squared? 8p times 7p is 56p squared. And 8p times 8 is 64p, and then we're going to subtract. Those cancel. 36 subtract 64 leaves us with negative 28p. 7p times negative 4 equals negative 28p. You're going to multiply. Negative 4 times 7p is negative 28p. Negative 4 times 8 is negative 32. We're going to subtract that whole thing. Those cancel. Negative 22 subtracted negative 32. You treat it like adding 32. 10 will be the remainder. So this is what you write as a remainder. 10 over the divisor. So that would be the answer to this polynomial long division. But I'm going to show you something very quickly. Let's substitute all of the p's with a 10. So 7 times 10 is 70. That would be 78. That would be 1,000. That would be 6,400. 360 minus 22. When we do this long division right here, we also end up with a remainder of 10. So one day when I was doing just some mess around with long division or even binomial squared, so let's do this. X plus 1 squared ends up being x squared plus 2x plus 1. Well, look at that. If you put a 10 in all of those, 100 plus 21, that's 121. Well, 11 squared equals 121 if we put a 10 in here. So anyway, if you ever get stuck with long division this way, you might be able to turn it back into a regular number and mess around with it. All right, that's it for this one.